Hello everyone, I'm welcoming you to my YouTube channel. Today's topic is urinary system. This will be lesson number 1. The content that we will cover on this lesson will be excretory system. This the alternative term used for urinary system. Then we will also do main functions of the kidneys, kidney location, structure of the kidneys, as well as organs associated with the kidneys, as well as the gross structure of the kidneys. The urinary system is the main excretory system and consists of the following structures. So the urinary system, if they are asking the main urinary structures that forms the system, because remember the system is the complexity of the different parts. So these are the structures that forms the urinary system. The first one, there are two kidneys. The kidneys secretes urine or gives off urine or produces urine. So there are two kidneys. Second point, two ureters. You will see this as time goes by when we are continuing with the next slides. So there are two ureters which convey the urine from the kidneys to the urinary blood. Remember that urine comes from the kidneys. They go down through ureters to the bladder, urinary bladder. A urinary bladder acts as a temporal storage of urine. Therefore, it will be excreted through outside through the what we call urethra. Urethra, it connects just above the vagina in a woman and is in the penis shaft for the male. So there is a urinary bladder which collects and stores urine. Then there is urethra through which urine leaves the body. So if you are asked about urinary system, main excretory system or structures, you know there are two kidneys which secrete urine. There are two ureters which convey or transport the urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. Then the urinary bladder collects that urine that comes via the ureters and stores it. Remember, it stores it temporarily. Then you will feel the urge to urinate or to pee. Then the urethra will then come in to make sure that the urine leaves the body. Then this urinary system, it plays a vital part in maintaining homeostasis of water and electrolytes within the body. All right, this actually says that for homeostasis means the balance. So for water or body water to be balanced, so the urinary system will say that, okay, now there is too much water in the body. So let's just excrete some water outside to leave the body so that the body will remain with the required water that will be needed. So the electrolytes, these are constituents that are there in the blood. So you'll see, or maybe you have learned about it in your beginning of the chapters. So electrolytes, these are constituents that are there in your blood. Then the kidneys produce urine, which contains metabolic waste products, including nitrogenous compounds, urea and uric acid, excess ions, and sometimes excreted drugs. So this means that any metabolic waste, so whenever you eat, when you are eating food, there will be gastric acids in your stomach, whereby there will be some constituents or things that the body does not need. So those things, they leave the body through urine and through feces, or in the nursing term we use stools. So here, that metabolic waste will leave the body through urine. Also, there will be, for instance, if the person has been taking drugs So also those drugs will be leaving the body through urine. So that's why sometimes you'll see that the urine is being tested when during screenings. So the main functions of the kidneys. We said there are two kidneys. So now what are the main functions? So these are the main functions whenever you are asked to state the main functions of the kidneys. Remember, while you are listening and reading here, I'll be sending you on WhatsApp the questions, sample questions, and later during the week, I will send you the relevant answers to those questions. So it's very important to listen carefully and also read your books, because you cannot completely rely on this, but this will be giving you a hint on how to simple understand what is written there in your book. Your book is detailed. So these are the main functions of the kidneys. So the question can be very direct, like state the four main functions of the kidneys, or else these four functions, maybe they can put three of these functions and put one wrong option in a multiple choice question. Then they will say these are the functions, main functions of the kidneys, except, then they will just have one that is not correct. So you need to play around these options, or when you are studying, create your own question in your head so that you will better remember whatever that you are studying. So the first function, main function, the kidneys are involved in the formation of urine, maintaining water, electrolyte, and acid-base balance. So we already talked about that kidneys are involved in the formation of urine, and we say that the kidney will make sure that it maintains the homeostasis, of which it is maintains the balance of body water. So because otherwise you'll keep drinking water until your body gets swollen or become edematous. So but now, because there is this urinary system, the body will say, no, I have so much water now. Let me just reduce, or let me excrete, let me take out some dirty water in my body. Then that water will be coming out, as well as electrolytes. Let me say there is sodium, there is calcium. So those are some of the electrolytes. So though whenever they are excessive, so they will be balanced by being taken out through urine. Acid-base balance, also the blood will become acidic if it's not will become acidic if there is a malfunctioning of the urinary system. So it's very important to make sure that the acid is balanced in the body. So you will see this when there is a need of testing pH and alkaline. But in this case, that's a function. Formation of urine, maintaining the homeostasis of water in the body, as well as electrolyte. The second function, excretion of waste products. I mentioned that the person who takes drugs, those drugs, they become waste product, they become toxin in the body, and whatever that we drink, for instance alcohol and anything else, there is a waste product that after, the body will take whatever that it needs. Anything else will become the waste. So that waste need to leave the body. So the way for it to leave the body is through the kidneys. So excretion of waste means to take out the waste through urine. So the third option, the third main function is production and secretion of erythropoietin, the hormone that stimulates formation of red blood cells. Okay, now but you'll see this as time goes by. The other function of the kidney is the production of this hormone. The hormone is called erythropoietin. this hormone will be involved in the formation of red blood cells. Remember that these red blood cells, they maintain that oxygen in the blood. I'm sure you will see, or if you haven't seen, you will see that if a person maybe is admitted or comes in a clinic, there will be that thing that is like a PEX that is put in the thumb or pointing finger or index finger. So that's whereby they are checking how much oxygen the person have. It is measured in a percentage. So the process of secretion of this hormone is called erythropoiesis. So now keep it in mind. We said formation of urine, maintaining body water. The second one we said it excretes waste products. The third one we said is produces the hormone called erythropoietin. Then the last one is produces and secretes the renin, which is an important enzyme. I'm sure you've learned about enzymes. So an important enzyme in the long-term control of blood pressure. So whenever a person is having blood pressure, a high blood pressure or low blood pressure, you must know that the kidneys are also involved. So please keep that in mind whenever, because in the following year or in the coming chapters, you'll be learning about the conditions that affect each body system. So here below I've said urine is stored in the bladder and excreted by the process of micturition. Micturition means urinating. So this is just a fancy word or term, but it actually means urinating. Location, where can we find these kidneys? The kidney lie on the posterior abdominal wall. So the abdomen, if you're touching, normally we say this is a stomach. Unfortunately, the stomach is inside, but we tend to point the front part, upper part, and say it is a stomach, the whole of it. But if you can check in your book or else just Google, you will see that the abdomen is the whole frontal part of the upper part of your body. Then there is a chest above it. So from the waist until the chest, that's the abdomen. And inside the abdomen, there are many organs inside it. So in the posterior means back. Posterior means at the back. So you need to know these terms because you'll come across them in many situations. So the kidney lie on the posterior abdomen, so they are there at the back. They say one on each side of the vertebral column. The vertebral column, that is the column whereby the spinal cord goes through. So on each side so they are actually divided by the vertebral column. So, or you can, in the layman's language, we normally say spinal cord, but since we are in a health science field now, you'll use vertebral column. Then they say behind the peritoneum and below the diaphragm. So the diaphragm actually divides the chest and the lower, it actually divides the abdomen and the chest. So it is there. You will see also if you check in your book, there are diagrams there. Just go straight to, or you can Google it. So you can Google diaphragm or peritoneum. Peritoneum is more like it's more like a thin whitish membrane, but it is actually a covering. It is a cover. So they also say that they extend from the level of the 12th thoracic vertebra to the 3rd lumbar vertebra. So you count from your neck, from the back of your head, the bottom part. You start counting the number of bones or vertebral that forms the vertebral column. So they are counted. You must check them. So there are certain number of vertebral bones which are named as thoracic. Then you go down until you reach the ones which are falls under lumbar. So if they are saying third lumbar, it means there is a second, there is a third. So the numbers decrease as you go down from the neck to the sacrum. So until that tail, so the number of decreases. So the other one, it's receiving some protection from the lower rib cage. So the kidneys are protected by the ribs. So that's what they mean here if they say rib cage, a cage that is made up of ribs. So it is actually enclosing those kidneys and get them protected. So now you will understand that the kidneys are not down there, they are actually up here on the ribs, under the ribs, but in the back part, posterior abdominal wall. Then the right kidney is usually slightly lower than the left. So you need to know this because in multiple choice, this comes a lot. I have seen this a lot, and I'm sure you will see it also on the multiple choice questions that I'll be giving you. So you need to note that the right kidney is slower than the left. Why is it like that? It is because of the space occupied by the liver. You need to know that the liver is the biggest organ of the human body. So it's heavy, and it also covers most of the portion of the abdomen and the diaphragm side. So they are saying that the reason the right kidney is lower than the left, it is because the space is occupied by the liver. So the liver pushes the kidney down, and the left kidney is at the top. So that's what they mean. Please do reread this with understanding and also verify it with your books, just in case you do not understand. But remember that I welcome anyone should you have any problem. I have left my email address as well there. So structure of the kidney. Now if you are asked to describe the structure of the kidneys, there will be marks that are allocated for this. So you don't want to lose marks. Just talk about everything that you see of the liver. So the first thing you need to say, the kidneys are B-shaped organs. They are like a beans. Think of a sugar bean. So that is how you first say it. Then you go now to the size. The kidney is about 11 centimeter long, 6 centimeter wide, and 3 centimeter thick. So, but also confirm this with your books or with the latest edition, because they can maybe change it. The authors always changes stuff. But you will say that it's bean shaped, 11 centimeter long, 6 centimeter wide, 3 centimeter thick. If you take the kidney to the scale, you will get around 150 grams. We are talking about the kidney here. Then they are embedded in and held in position by a mass of fat. Okay, so if they are saying they are embedded, it means they are attached. They are attached in, and in that position they are attached in, they are held on that position so that they do not fall by a mass of fat. So there are fat that attaches or that embed these kidneys to the posterior abdominal wall. Then they say there is also a sheath of fibrous connective tissue, renal fascia, that encloses the kidney and the renal fat. So that's a structure of the kidneys. Now, organs associated with the kidneys. What are other organs that are close or that are in contact with the kidney? So these organs, they are saying here, the kidneys lie on either side of the vertebral column. Okay, that's a repetition of what we said, and so each is associated with different structures. Remember, we said one is on the right, one is on the left, and we said the other one is lower than the other one, is slightly lower than the other one. So also in the abdomen there are different structures or organs inside. So we will talk about the nearest structures or nearest organs to that specific kidney. So let's start with the right kidney. The kidney on the right, superior or superiorly, of which means at the top. So at the top of the right kidney, you'll find something or a part called adrenal gland. There is a gland. You'll learn more about glands when you are doing endocrine system. So there is a right adrenal gland on the top superiorly. Anteriorly, which means front. So in the front of a kidney, of a right kidney, you will find the right lobe of the liver. You will find the duodenum, which is a part of the small intestine, and you will find the hepatic flexure of the colon. That's whereby the colon or large intestine make a turn. So, but you'll see that when you are doing gastrointestinal tract system. So, but here they are just telling you what you will find in front of the right kidney. So you'll find a lobe, which is a portion of the liver, and you'll find a duodenum, which is a portion of the small intestine, and you'll find hepatic flexure of the colon, which is a corner. I will say it's a corner of the colon or large intestine. Then posteriorly, which means at the back of the kidney, right kidney, remember, at the back of the right kidney, you'll find a diaphragm and the muscles of the posterior abdominal wall. Remember that the kidney is attached to the abdominal wall, and the attachment of the kidney to the abdominal wall, posterior abdominal wall, there is a need of the muscles so that it keeps those to the abdominal wall. So there is also a diaphragm. Remember to always go through this by yourself and double check. If there is something that you do not understand, you are welcome to come ask. Let's talk about the left kidney now. So on the left kidney, superiorly, remember we said superiorly means above or at the top. At the top of the left kidney, there is a left adrenal gland. So what does this mean to you? It means that both kidneys superiorly, they have similar gland, which is called adrenal. So just that here you will say left kidney have superiorly have left adrenal gland. So if you like, when you are studying, please tabulate these characteristics or these features. Just have a column and say this is left, this is right. Then you start saying that superiorly on the left kidney there is left adrenal gland. On the right kidney superiorly there is a right adrenal gland. Then you go until you reach the posterior part. So now let's go to the anteriorly of the left kidney. Remember, we are talking of the organs next to that kidney. Now we are no longer talking about right kidney. We are here in the left. So the left kidney anteriorly, which means the front, we have a spleen, A spleen is involved in a lymphatic system. So if you can Google it, you'll see that it talks of formation of red blood cells, destroying and of those or removing those old blood cells. So it is involved on that. And once it's malfunction, then it may lead to a person to become somehow anemic and all that. So there is also a stomach. Okay, here there must be a comma. There is a stomach. Stomach, you'll know that the stomach is just an organ inside there. It's not this whole front part you always touching and say it's a stomach. Stomach is inside, and normally it's the size of the fist, but it can differ with people because the way you load it might stretch it too much. Then there is pancreas. People who are diabetic, this is the organ that is normally affected because it's got insulin. It controls the glucose or sugar in the body. So this is the organ. So you find this organ in front of the left kidney. Then you find jejunum. So this is part of the GIT, and also splenic flexure, which is, once you see this word starting with spleen, this spleen, it means that there is a spleen on this side. So the spleen extends from that side until this side. Also, it means that there is also a colon that turns next to the spleen. So in front of the left kidney, there is a spleen, there is a stomach, there is a pancreas, there is a jejunum, and there is a splenic flexure of the colon. So it means that this colon, the large intestine, have a corner where there is a spleen. So that corner is called splenic flexure. But you'll get to understand also if you go through your books if you don't find it right. Posteriorly, which means at the back of the left kidney. In the back of the left kidney, you'll find the diaphragm and the muscles of the posterior abdominal wall. So if you read the posterior part, you will see that it is actually the same exactly as the superiorly part of the right kidney. At the back, you'll find a diaphragm, and there are muscles of the posterior abdominal wall. Remember that I said that these muscles, they help a lot in making sure that the organs are attached. So let's talk about gross structure, of which is it is actually the last objective. So the gross structure of the kidneys. So there are three different areas of tissue that are clearly distinguishable to the naked eye when viewing a longitudinal section. Please Google this, but I will show you now the longitudinal section. This is how the longitudinal section looks like. Longitudinal section. Please, you can download this. You can download this picture. Just say longitudinal structure of the kidney, so they will show you. Then while you are watching this video, you can be, in the meantime, be going through the pictures and also the labels on them. So now there is what we call the hilum. Hilum is the concave medial border of the kidney, where the renal blood and lymph vessels, the ureter and nerves enter. So here, remember that the kidney is like this. It's a bean shape. Remember we talked about that. So there are all these things coming here. We talked of renal blood, lymph vessels, ureter. So this whole part is called a hilum. So this is This area is called a hilum, this one. So it is concave, as you see that the way it is made, it is a bean shape. Then this concave part is the one that is called hilum, concave medial border of the kidney. Then we talk of urine formed within the kidney, passes through a renal papilla into the drainage system that begins. So you will see that in the if you are looking on that image, I said it's longitudinal structure of the kidney. You will see that there are renal papilla, there are minor calyx, there are major calyx. So when these combine, they end up forming the renal pelvis, a hollow funnel shaped structure that narrows when it leaves the kidney as a ureter. So the final organ here will be the ureter, ureter, because you don't need to confuse ureter with the urethra. The other one got HTHR, urethra, and A as the end. So urine is formed within the kidney, passes through a renal papilla. So this is the first part where the urine will, when it forms like small drop. It's not like, because you will be feeling an urge to pee now and then. So this one fills very slowly, depending on how much it is, depending on how much your urinary system works, and also depending on how much fluid intake you have taken. So the renal papilla into the drainage system. So this drainage system begins as a minor calyx. So the papilla will give to minor calyx. Minor calyx drain. So just think of this as water going down. So it started here as the renal papilla, comes here at the minor calyx, and reaches or drains here as the major calyx. Then, and 2 or 3 major calyxes combine. So there will be so many of these. This is just an illustration. There are so many of them. So these major calyxes will combine. They will combine and form the renal pelvis. The renal pelvis starts from here to here. Then this renal pelvis will then form a hollow funnel shaped structure that narrows when it leaves the kidney, which is called the urethra. Okay, let me just quickly paraphrase this. In the kidney, the urine is formed, then it drains through the renal papilla, which is the first part where the urine will drain. And when it's draining, it drains to the parts called minor calyx. When it's one, it's calyx. When there are many, it's calyces. Here's the, just look here where I'm highlighting in red. When they are, this is plural, a plural for calyx. So it's renal papilla, minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis, then ureter. So please keep that in mind and keep practicing it. You'll never forget it, even in multiple choice, because multiple choice will always confuse you. They will say that a renal papilla drains in the renal pelvis, but you know exactly that a renal papilla, it's 1, then we said its minor calyx is 2, we say major calyx is 3. Then we say renal pelvis is number 4. Then ureter is number 5. Please forgive me. I also confused pronunciation, but ureter is a ureter. Please do not make a mistake of confusing this, because multiple choice you'll think that you nailed it, then only to find out that it is actually nailed you. So the walls of the calyces and renal pelvis are lined with transitional epithelium and contain smooth muscle. So you already learned about the epithelium, which are the type of tissues. So they are saying that transitional epithelium and contain smooth muscle. So inside this ureter and those renal pelvis, inside the walls are made of smooth muscle, so they are very smooth. Then the word peristalsis, I'm sure you've heard of this term, peristalsis, especially it happens there in the GIT, in the stomach. Or also it happens in the throat when you are swallowing, esophagus. So this is just an involuntary action that happens when the body is doing its function without, you cannot control what happens. Let me say, if the food is there in your throat, you can't say that, no, I just want to take the food out of the stomach without inducing with your hands. So this is just an action that happens automatically, involuntarily. It's called peristalsis. So it normally happens in the stomach. I mean in the stomach, and also the small intestine, large intestine, also referred to colon. So they are saying here peristalsis, intrinsic contraction. Intrinsic means inside contraction. So the word contraction, when there will be sort of squeezing. So peristalsis, intrinsic contraction of smooth muscle, propel urine through the calyces, renal pelvis, and ureters to the bladder. So what does this mean? It means that the urine that is formed there in the renal papilla, minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis, ureter, the body automatically squeezes, it contracts. Intrinsic contraction, it means it squeezes itself inside. Remember we said they are smooth muscles, so you cannot feel it happening. But if it wasn't smooth, then you will feel that like a cramp. I'm sure you've heard of women saying, "No, I'm having cramps and this and that." So you will also be feeling a cramp if these were not as smooth as they are mentioned here. So this smooth muscle will contract. When they contract, the urine propels. It means that it is pushed down. So the urine will be propelled through the calyces. It's also continuous contraction or squeezing. It goes through the renal pelvis, and the squeeze again. It goes through the ureter. Remember, we say there are two ureters which joins into one urinary bladder. So this urine will be squeezed through these two tubes called ureters until it reaches the bladder. When it reaches the bladder will say, "Oh, I'm full now." Then there will be a message sent into the hypothalamus in your head that, you know what, now it's time to release this fluid. Then you'll feel a very big urge to actually go to the bathroom or to do number one. So that's what we talk about when we are talking of the peristalsis, intrinsic contraction of the smooth muscle and propelling of the urine. So that marks the end Whenever you feel like you need to talk to me, these are the details. We will continue with, since the last part was growth structure, so the next video will be on the microscopic and so forth. So thank you so much for watching. I'll send you the questions or sample test questions and exam questions. So I avoid giving you long questions because it's difficult to study with long questions, whereas multiple choice question makes it easy for you to study, provided you have a great strategy of studying. Thank you so much.